Welcome to another episode of Pockets, where we do written journal prompts and create ephemera to stuff into a pocket journal based off of our answers to reveal all of the different aspects of ourselves that are hidden within the pockets inside of us. We left off last time after what was the question? Finding the goodness around us, and I really liked how I was able to split the second part about community and care into the next section of this. So the first things I did was I had these little library card ephemeras, and so I wrote out the etymology for care and community. Community is common, public, shared by all or many. Society, fellowship, friendly intercourse, courtesy, affability, condescension. Old French, communauté, commonness, everybody, community. With the definition really coming together as a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. Often I've referred to like the journaling community or the art journaling community, or the spiritual community. And then care, the Old English caru, sorrow, anxiety, grief, but also burden of mind, serious mental attention. Late Old English, concern, anxiety caused by apprehension of evil or weight of many burdens. From Proto-Germanic caro, lament, grief, care. Old Saxon, cara, meaning sorrow. Old High Germanic, cara, wail or lament. Gothic, cara, sorrow, trouble, care. Karfreitag, for Good Friday, which is, I believe, is the, I don't know if it's technically the day that would be the crucifixion, because usually it's like he rose 3 days after. I'm not entirely sure about that. And then I wrote caring here, act or state of showing care for others. I think care itself, I thought that it was interesting that the words about grief and sorrow came up quite a bit, because I think that care for different people can mean a lot of different things. And so I think that the important thing is that we can practice both self-care and community care, which is care facing our external world. The collage card I chose for this is Web. I recently finished The Body is a Doorway by Sophie Strand, and this card feels more prevalent than ever about the interconnectedness between us and the entire world around us. It's not just us humans. There's the trees, there's the animals, there's the insects, there's the different plants, the fungi, the mycelial webs beneath that. Everything is connected, and I mean, even if you look within your own body, you are technically a web of interconnected cells and bacteria. I am not a scientist. I highly recommend the book The Body is a Doorway by Sophie Strand. I will link to it below. Cannot recommend it enough. It's about chronic illness and accepting ourselves as perhaps just smaller pieces in the larger picture of this multi-species, what's the word, expression of the all, what Strand calls the all, what I call God, which is that like everything and all the space in between is the expression of this weird little planet of ours and universe of ours. So the first thing I want to do is draw a tarot card for this. I'm very interested to see what comes up for it. When I journaled about it, what from my family childhood taught me about community. I'm actually going to read this. My childhood was a patchwork of friends coming together to support a single mom with a daughter stuck in her own mind. I learned that making sacrifices for those we love and those we find commonality with is sometimes necessary. It helps us to keep up with being human. How do I practice it? To care means to give our attention to, at least in my universe, it seems so simple when it's put that way. Our attention is fractured. I'm working with my hands as an attempt to reclaim it. Spending time in the kitchen has transformed me in this way into kind of a meditation. So for me, recently, community and care has shown up in the form of cooking and gathering. I have spoken about this before, but like I've been learning how to cook. For Mother's Day, I actually hosted some family at my house and was in charge of like all the cooking and bringing everything together for that event, as well as, you know, having the house in order for people to come over and enjoy it. It was very, I was very happy with how it went. I was very happy with how I felt afterwards. When I think of being of service, that's very much how I felt after the this event. The Sage of Cups. In the card, the Sage is looking out. I believe the Sage is actually the king in like the normal Rider-Waite-Smith decks, but I might be mistaken on that. But you see the sun is shining and the king is focusing not only on the cup and what is within it, but also outward, so that the person is taking in all factors and how perhaps this physical manifestation can help to serve and nourish the people around them. I am interested to see if I'm right, if that is like not about the definition necessarily, but if the Sage is the king, and it is. Okay, so they have the Apprentice, the Steward, the Guardian, which would be the Queen, and then the Sage of Cups. This is calm, meditation, leadership. Even in difficult times, you can radiate a calming energy. When you master your chaotic emotions, you have the ability to influence your surroundings. Follow the example of someone in your life who stays calm under pressure. What secrets have they learned? Something interesting that I learned about, I don't remember where I learned this, but I am a practiced tarot reader, and one of the, the court cards are kind of a difficult thing to understand. There's a lot of different ways that they can be interpreted. And I always thought, somewhere I read about how the king focuses outward on the community. And if you think about like, not king as in like colonialism or like oligarchy necessarily, but if you think about a king in like maybe some movies that are not necessarily completely true to history, but you hear a king talking about how it doesn't matter what he wants because he has to be there for his people. He has to, show strength for his people or demonstrate how he cares, how he is going to show up and care for others. He is the example and the kind of like keystone that other people look to when it comes to that. All of these items are automatically going to go in my pocket. And this one is slightly ripped in the back because we're using what we have, and this is a used business envelope. Um, and I think that the fact that I chose to put community and care together, like specifically as words, is unique in the sense that community is hard to show up for if you don't care. It's hard to want to be of service and do things for others if you don't have that investment in the well-being of the people that you're around, or you're not enmeshed within your community. It's also, something that people talk a lot about these days, especially like you might hear my dog getting into things. Just be aware of that. Especially in the times that we live in, people talk about how our local community is really the best way that we can strengthen and build where we are. I think of community gardens. I think of community projects. I live in a small town, and I'm lucky enough to have folks who are trying to develop certain programs in this area that are geared towards developing a sense of community, including a small farmers market, including some community nights at the park. I'm hoping to lead a sort of art like mini event within that. And take a drink of coffee there. So one of the things, I'm gonna flip this around actually. This is just a piece of painted card. Not cardstock, it's some fancy art paper that I got on clearance at Blick's Art Material. I use it to like dab away excess paint when I'm working on in my art journal, or if I'm working on a piece that is more focused on like an abstract artwork, abstract painting. I haven't done that in like a while. I felt a little stuck in that aspect. So I did a drawing in an art class that was the art class itself was about drawing as your inner child, like drawing childlike art. And I really enjoyed the freedom of that. But I also, like, one of the drawings that I did was of me taking my dog Mellow for a walk. And I did not have a daily walking practice before we got our dog last June. But I do think that it has made a difference. Necessarily in, like, we haven't met a lot of folks within our community prior to this, just because, we had 2 small children. I was taking my son to therapy all the time, constantly running around. And so we just didn't have the opportunity to do what we would have like normally done. And so I've actually had more of an opportunity to meet people and develop not like super intense like friendships, not like, best friends, but I've become cordial with my neighbors. I've like learned people's names. We've had neighbors help us out with a couple things, which is like something that we maybe would have felt wasn't possible before. And so for this art class that I took, I drew our house, and this is, a representation of that. And a picture of me walking my dog. But like I said, it's meant to be like a childlike drawing, like drawing for in a way that like a kid might, you know. So we're not worried about technical process. We're not worried about like exact proportions, and I wanted to recreate this drawing, and I thought, since Mellow, our dog, is kind of what brought us together, with our neighborhood, I thought I would do a picture of me taking her for a walk like I did for this art class that I took. And I like the way doing this type of drawing, like, it makes it easy to tell a story. Like, you know, I'm not a master artist here, but you can tell that this is like me taking a dog for a walk. I'll probably add some like color and definition to it. We have a red maple tree. I've also been enjoying getting comfortable doing more scribbly drawings with my just regular, this is just a Bic, or no, Papermate Inkjoy, like crystal pen. Using simpler, like less expensive art materials has been important for me lately. Not focusing on like using the best of the best. Obviously with the, like, I live in a small town, anything I were to get would have to be shipped here, and we're not really, I don't know, the world is in a precarious state, and who knows what we're gonna do with the tariff situation. So I'm just trying to keep it simple for now. I'm drawing a truck because this is like one house behind us, and then there's the highway. And so this is kind of like the grassy area. This is where, under this tree is where our little like dog house is. And if we are sitting outside, Mellow will go on the tie out. If we're in the backyard, it's partially fenced in, so we're able to let her run around more freely. This is the highway. So here's my drawing. I'm gonna try to, I wanna see how my Tombow markers show up on this first. And then, well, that's not the right color. And then I will see if I need to okay. I have a gray here for the sidewalk. And it's so funny. So our village doesn't have, like, we don't have sidewalks like all over, and just in front of certain houses. And I think it's like the homeowners are able to do it, not necessarily that like the village itself put a sidewalk there. So like when we go walking, we do have to take like specific routes if I want to stick to this. Like if the kids are with me, I try to stick more to the sidewalk. Like the extra shading that I did with my pen has helped to add dimension to this, as well as, where did my pen go? There it is. As well as, yeah. So I know if I'm wearing this outfit, my shirt is orange. My shorts would normally be green. That's not gonna show up. I'll just give myself blue shorts. That'll be easy. Didn't do a whole lot, maybe. Well, my face might just be kind of blue in this, and that's okay. All right, I've got brown hair. Did that come across as black almost? It did. Because I was gonna do, so a quirky thing about me is if the sun's out even a little bit, I'm gonna wear sunglasses. Just because it'll make me more comfortable. I've got these big chunky black sandals that I wear every summer for like, I think they're like 3 or 4 years old. Like I bought them the first summer that we were in this house. And so just because I don't have a lot of different greens, I'm starting to incorporate some like paint markers a little bit. Some Poscas, and these are the Mandalamas. I've had these for years. We don't shop at Target anymore because of the boycott since they canceled their DEI program. But I bought those Mandalamas like years ago when I first started like art journaling, and they are still going strong. So, I mean, I'm just like adding details. And our house is white, so it feels like kind of difficult to add like super intense details. So what I'm gonna do, I'd use this just to like kind of point out the house and make it stand out a little bit. We have like an old school craftsman house. And then these bushes kind of go in the front here. I don't have room, and like we have a little prayer garden in between two bushes here, but and I don't really have any good colors as far as like paint pens. And this is kind of like orange. For some reason, I outlined my outfit in black and I didn't do it with the rest, and now I can't find, there it is. And one of the things that like is different with my creative practice is I've been focusing more on drawing lately, so it felt important to add me drawing. And see, now I do kind of like how that like I don't know. I'm gonna have to get like a better peachy color. And I think so then we have like the highway out here with the truck. And I'm still happy that I included like the water markers and stuff, because I think it's adding like extra depth a little bit, and it makes it so I don't have to do like every single thing. I feel like I should keep this like small black marker just out, because I've lost track of it so many times. definitely messier, a bit darker than I would have liked. Maybe next time I'll start with a plain note card, but oh, and we've got our little doggy house. I almost forgot. The fun thing is like the colors don't have to be the actual colors. The doghouse is white and gray, but I mean, anyways, maybe I'll add some white. Whew. And I just am doing this like I want you guys to understand how messy and imperfect the process is and will be. I think it's easy to see, especially now that it seems like journaling itself and like junk journaling, art journaling, and just like creativity is having like a lot of discourse and resurgence around it. People are sharing a lot of things that they're making on social media, and so it's easy to get in this headspace of like, well, my stuff doesn't look like that. Why would I share my stuff? My stuff is ugly. I'm gonna make my house purple because why not? It's easy for us to like let that kind of stuff like dictate how we show up and what we share. I'm gonna change the color of this shirt. It's just matching everything a little too much and making it look, like I said, I'm not thrilled with the color of the Posca for that, but you know, if I had a bigger space and if I had started with a plain note card, it maybe wouldn't be like so dark, but I still really like it. And it is pretty close. Let me see if I have the sketchbook here. It is pretty close to the drawing that I did. If I can find it. There it is. So this is what it started off as. This is a lot more mixed media. I think I used my left hand to do part of it, and I do like this better. This is definitely more precise, which is not like the point of like specifically of the class that I was taking. But you know, like I said, it serves its purpose. And now, so I like the sketchbook version better, but that's not going to fit in a pocket. This is gonna fit in a pocket, see? So that is going in. If I think of it, I'll link the class that I took below. I forget the artist's name, but if I can remember, then I will link the class. Another thing I wanted to share is that I have new stickers available for starting at $3. Like, you can pay $3 if you feel inclined to pay more. That's lovely. I try to offer my stuff as pay what you wish. The $3 is just to help like cover the cost and hopefully order more sticker designs moving forward. But this is the Grace snail sticker. Grace shows up in even the small places, which is from an experience I had working and intending our garden. And kind of keeping with the tradition, I am gonna actually include that in my Community Care pocket, thinking it would go nice if it will fit. Nope. Perhaps. There we go. What happened is that, like, I have a lot of body pain, and I just have a lot of things that I want to do, and then I have a hard time getting started doing them. And so, you know, we have been expanding our garden slowly over the course of the 3 to 4 years that we've lived here. My husband has managed most of it, but now that the kids are older, I get to help manage it. And I was really concerned that I was not going to rise to the challenge. That was a big concern for me, because I wanted, you know, this is something I've wanted to participate in a long time. And when I think of care and I think of community, like, we usually try to raise enough, like, vegetables for our for us to have, like, salads throughout the year, and, like, tomatoes for tomato sandwiches. And so I think the big thing is caring means showing up. Anyway, so I was digging in the garden. I was cleaning out a garden bed. We weren't even using that one for vegetables, but it needed to get done, and I did it. You know, I was on my knees. I was all dirty, but I did it. I showed up. I worked for hours. I got this garden bed cleaned out, and I was very proud. And during that time, I encountered a snail, which is, up until recently, is an insect or creature that I had not ever seen in real life. And so it felt significant. It felt like, you know, God or grace or the universe, like, poking its little head out and saying, I see you. I see the work you're doing. I see how hard you are trying, and all the ways that you are trying to do better by growing, by learning. You know, especially, like, as somebody who's in recovery, it can be easy to get discouraged anytime there is something that is difficult, or, you know, I have, like, rejection sensitivity, and just, yeah. So anyways, I'm really practicing just, like, showing up and doing the things that I want to do, and the people who are meant to find it will find it. You know, I recently deleted my Instagram and then started a new one, which has been humbling, because I was used to, for so long, having a huge, not huge, it was only like 4,000 to 5,000 people, but, you know, everything I put out there got response. And so now I get to, like, I have this sense of, like, invisibility almost, where I am creating things and it doesn't matter, because, like, not that many people are seeing it, which kind of has been liberating. If you're running, like, a business and need to, like, maintain a certain level of income, like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. We are supported by my husband, so I had the financial freedom and privilege to be able to do that. If you are somebody who does not have that kind of flexibility in your finances, like, do not go and delete your social media presence like that. I like the way that this card turned out. I think that I don't know. I think that it's cool that we can make things that are significant, and they don't have to be beautiful, but we can still be happy with the outcome. It's been hard for me lately. Last night, I had finished my first chapbook. It's not very long. It's like 30 pages, which is including, like, the table of contents, and it has some abstract art in it. Anyways, I had submitted it for this chapbook contest to get published, and it got rejected last night, which is fine. Rejections, especially poetry is like very, there's a lot of people out there who write poetry, and I think it's a great way of just existing in the world. And so, you know, whoever ends up getting it, like, will have, like, you know, earned it. There's not enough, not every publisher is able to publish everything that gets submitted, but at the same time, I do struggle with, like, rejection, and so, you know, it led me to questioning a lot of what I'm doing and what the point is, and why am I still, like, making art and sharing it, and, like, why am I ordering stickers? Like, I've got 2 sticker designs. No one's ordered any of them, but I do include them in my Experiment in Caramel project because I just like doing it, and I think that's the one thing that I've learned. So I think our prompt for next time should be, what would you be doing if no one could witness you? Like, one of the things that I'm struggling with is, like, I always wanted to be a writer. Ever since I can remember, that's what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I have an easier time, and I approach art more than I approach writing. So does that necessarily mean that I need to stick with the easy thing, which is the art? Or should I spend more time on my writing? If I'm not following through and I'm just procrastinating my writing, does that mean that it's something that I don't necessarily need to be doing or want to be doing? Is this just like an old program that I need to let go of? So what if it didn't matter, if you didn't have to make money and no one was gonna see it, what would you be making, and how would you be living your life? This is a big question. So if it needs to take more than one pocket, that's fine. I haven't decided how I'm gonna do it yet because I literally just decided on this prompt. But it's kind of the question that I'm struggling with these days, because it's like, what do I want to be putting out there? You know, the world is a giant dumpster fire right now. How can I help people, and how can I help myself? I think that art is important because when we make things, we can feel better, and it helps us process our emotions and process the things going on in the world. But maybe, I don't know. I would love to hear some of your guys' thoughts on all these topics. I don't really have anything else. I'm just gonna add some little scraps to the back of this envelope. So yeah, if no one was there, if you didn't have to make money and no one was there to see what you made or to have an opinion, or maybe if everybody would loved everything you made no matter what, maybe that's a better way of phrasing it, because it's kind of hard for us to put especially people pleasers, it's kind of hard for us to put ourselves in that mindset of like, what would it be like if you didn't care what people think? And it's like, man, if I could just do that, like, a lot of my problems would be solved. So maybe it's like, no matter what, everybody's gonna love what you make. So if that is the case, what would you make? How would you show up? What would you be focused on? What would you be doing? What would you spend your time on? What would be important to you? And like I said, I think this could potentially fill up a couple pockets, but we will see. I will meet you guys here in a week or two, and we will work on what I have come up with for this next little bit, okay? And be graceful with yourself, be kind with yourself, you know, fight fascism. I don't get like super political here, but let's remember that everything is technically political, and right now we have a regime in power that is actively trying to take away the rights of some of our citizens, and you know, sending people to prisons without due process. And like, my son is autistic, and they are currently trying to kind of target the autistic community. And I just think that the more we fight and show up for each other and show them that it's not okay, the less they're gonna get away with. Let's take some of that power back in whatever way you are able to. All right, that's my pocket for community and care, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this little segment. My stickers and an experiment in caring is available for purchase at Pay What You Wish at like certain starting prices on Ko-Fi, linked below. My ancestor project and other poetry and art and projects are shared on my Substack and on my Instagram. Everything will be shared below. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I hope that you do something creative today. Bye.